What's up, y'all? It's Kymmy Coco, your host for Innovative Black Stations Connecting the Dots podcast. Good morning. Good day, folks. We are here today brought to you by our sponsor, So Mississippi Candles. Check them out. It's candle season. It's springtime. Get your house smelling all fresh. You know what I'm saying? So, how was your week, Jay Black?
My week been cool. I went down to Florida this week.
Yeah, happy birthday to Mama Jay Black.
Yeah, so
she
that
celebrated
was cool.
a milestone birthday.
Yeah,
And she was looking fly, and they was riding around Florida in the drop top. I was like, look at Mama Jay Black. That's what I'm saying. I love Gen X because we look good. Gen X is doing the damn thing. Shout out to all the Gen Xers.
Black don't crack.
Word. Another loss this week. Black Rob, may his soul rest in peace. I saw Mark Curry did a video. What a great friend Mark Curry is. I mean, you know, saw him sick, went out, tried to raise money. He's been helping him out for a while, trying to get him shows, get him interviews. You know, he's been having an illness. I think it was dealing with his kidney for a few years now. And like we said in the last episode, and I can't stress this enough, men, Gen X, between the ages of 40 and 55, those are pivotal years for your health. And we need you to go get a checkup. Ladies, if you love a man, right now, all the men in your life, make sure that they're on top of their health. Because let's be honest, let's be real. They're not going to do it unless we do it. Okay? But for the responsible men, and I see that a lot of younger men, they are taking their finances and their health, their mental, physical health, a lot more seriously now. I'm seeing that a lot, you know, with the younger guys, and I applaud that too. Because like Jay Black and I were talking the other day about the vaccine hesitancy amongst groups of individuals in this country. Some people are like, you know, they're not willing to take that chance, but some people are like, you know, look, we got to get this under control. So make sure you do that with everything. You know what I mean? Everything. Because we really need y'all. We need you guys. And I want black men to grow old and be prosperous, because what are we without you all?
What was the cause of Black Rob? Like, what, he had kidney failure?
Yeah. So he's been sick for a few years. You know, these things decline. You feel all right. You deal with it. You get medicine, right? We're talking about pharmaceutical companies and drugs. Sometimes people can afford to stay on those medicines. Sometimes they can't. That's another thing. A lot of things that we learned during this pandemic, right? Sometimes being an entrepreneur is great if you are also a part of, say, a health plan. And, you know, everybody talks shit about Obama, but what he didn't do. But let's talk about what he did do. He made it so that you didn't have to have a job to have health insurance. That was a good thing. You could just buy it. We can debate the prices and all that later, but there are some people out here, some clinics where you pay and you just visit that clinic. You know what I mean? Like, you have a special rate and you go there. There's options out there. And sometimes they have free screenings. So when people were coming to me, talking to me about, you know, I'm going to be fine because my immune system, I wasn't really ready to rely on that, because I know how many people aren't very, you know, aware of their health situation because they don't check it often. I know a lot of people that aren't going to the doctor annually just to, you know, see how everything is, you know what I mean? Measure and gauge and learn from that and go from that. I wasn't feeling confident enough in that when people were saying that. And it was only because I know people that don't.
But my thing is this, because the vaccine protects you, right? Getting the vaccine, that will protect you, right?
So initially they weren't sure if.
But I'm saying, right now, with the study we got right now, the information you got right now,
they just
you know
said
the vaccine protects
it will
you,
protect you, and it will protect you from spreading it too.
Okay.
Because before they didn't know. Yeah.
So you took the I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you took the vaccine. You went and took that vaccine to protect yourself, right? Right? So my point is, like, why, like, I feel like since you're protected, why does it matter what other people are doing? Like, why would you be upset? I mean, I understand the overall thing, like it's just, but you good. You good. Like, these people are putting their own lives at risk. And if something happens to the people that's not taking, that has nothing to do with you. You did your part.
Yeah.
So that'd be my thing. Like, what people, like, even on the other side, even the people that's against getting the vaccine. Yeah. Like, just why are you pushing a message to tell people not to do something? Just because you don't want to do it, don't mean that everybody should. Like, just let people do what they want to do at the end of the day.
That's all. That's so easy.
And I think we just, I think wouldn't
that be wonderful?
But I think that's the problem we deal with everything outside of the vaccine. Everybody has an opinion on something, and like you say, I mean, some people just like to debate too. Remember we talked about the internet, like, you know, it's the people that just want to troll, that just want to get you riled up. And I think if you gonna go back and forth with somebody every day at the end of the day on the internet.
Yeah, you can see it. It keeps scrolling because the people that got the vaccine, I applaud you because you took a step that's gonna protect everyone. And like I was saying to Jay Black, in the chain of people that have it, one person gets it, the more contagious it is, it'll spread to them. But when you break that chain, take some of those people out of that chain that have been vaccinated, they're stopping the spread of it. You know what I'm saying? The people that got it already and you choose to not get it, I mean, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody, but don't knock the people that are getting it. I don't really see people knocking people for not getting it. Do you see that? I don't see people like, why aren't you getting it? Get it. I don't see that. I don't see that as much as I hear, yo, why y'all don't get that? You better not. Like, I hear the people saying not get it more than I hear people say get it.
I can agree with that.
And the people that are saying not get it, don't get it, why are you saying that? Like, they're helping you so that you don't have to get it, because the more people that get it and the easier we get it under control, the less likely it is for other, like, to go to a stronger methods to get other people to get it. Like, you should be so happy that people are getting it if you don't want to get it. I think you should be happy, just be like, oh, wow, okay, good, because then that means there'll be a less likelihood that I'll have to get it. And that'll make the least likelihood that I'll get COVID, too.
I think from what I see, I see people it's a group of people that's just completely against it. But I just see a lot of people being more cautious than anything. I think they being more cautious. And then even with the news, like, the news is all about shock value, because soon as the news say that this one person was affected by taking the vaccine or something happened to them, that's a small percentage of the whole population or the whole,
right.
the amount of people that took this.
Right.
So, but everybody's going to take a story. Oh, she took the vaccine and she passed out on stage. Oh, they took the vaccine. And yeah, that happens.
But is the news doing that, or is it like, so we really need to look at things for what they are and use our critical thinking skills. We talked about this, critical thinking skills. Everybody doesn't have that. It's so obvious for you because you have critical thinking skills to take what you hear and put it through the critical thinking filter and throw out what don't make sense and accept what does and kind of work from there. Everybody doesn't have that. So I hear the news say, this is what happened. And that's all they say, but then people add their shit to it to push their agenda.
But the news, they might be just saying this what happens.
But then they spin it.
Not even that, but they're pushing this, though. They push it. Because, honestly, I was just thinking about this the other day. And I understand because it probably was because the world was shut down. But the way that they was reporting on COVID when it first happened, I don't see that no more. I remember every week we was getting weekly numbers. And now it's at the point to where people are saying, now it's at the point people are saying post-COVID, like it's over. And I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the news plays a big part in that, a part of, getting that information out, because I feel like they're still the number one source or the number one, legit source that people still rely on. And I think that's how, it starts information getting spreaded.
Mm-hmm. Everybody just do what you need to do.
Because if the news reported, like what we was talking about the other day, what was it, a 95% survival rate of COVID? Mm-hmm. So if the news reported it like that, like you know, yeah, it happens, but it's a 95% survival rate. I feel like the thinking from people would be, you know, the thought process of what COVID is and how bad it is would be different. I think it's all about how they, you know, how they present it.
Yeah.
Because we trust these people per se.
Right. That's the source. Well, I mean, if the information is still out there, if it's important to you to see what's going on, look it up. The CDC has the information every day. It changes. The news is not a part of the news cycle anymore. They say one little bit about it. They'll say, you know, this is how many came today. Like, I check it. Do you check it?
No, it's really not important to me though. I ain't gonna say I don't care about it. I'm aware of what's going on, but I can't do nothing about it. I'm not about to panic about these numbers going up. All I can really do is take the proper precautions. They told me the proper precautions of what to do, and you know, I have to follow them. If I don't follow them, I have to be ready for whatever consequences come with that.
I don't know. I see the numbers going down. Some states is going up, like up north in Detroit, they're struggling with it again. They have a fourth wave. Their hospitals are at capacity. They're saying it's because it's still chilly there and people don't have events outside like they would where it's warmer at. So, I mean, just keep doing what you've been doing.
And I think, too, that even with the news not reporting on it as much, again, like I say, people are already saying post-COVID, but it makes, to the public, it makes it seem like, oh, this ain't a big deal no more. This ain't a big deal. So what I need to get the vaccine for is over now. Stuff like that.
Yesterday, 50 people died in Georgia from COVID. So the numbers are going down.
And that could be because of the vaccine too.
Over the last 14 days, the average daily increase in newly reported deaths was 32.36. So it's been hovering around 30, 50 people for the last 2 weeks. The average daily increase in new reported deaths, okay. There have been 866,000 cases in Georgia. And that's an increase of 1,151 since the previous day. So we're still averaging about 1,000 people being tested positive for COVID. That's not bad.
Over what, a month or a week?
A day.
Oh, a day.
That's still kind of bad.
It's about 30,000 a month. But compared to what though? Compared to what was it like in September or whatever?
It was high.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, we're on the low side. We're kind of like where we were this time last year, before it got started. Like really, really, really bad.
Well, that's a great sign. That's a great sign.
Yeah.
If we're gonna go off numbers or whatever, that's a great sign. Like again, it's sad that people are still getting affected by it.
Like 100 people over the 14 days, new patients being hospitalized for 2 weeks. About 100 people a day getting hospitalized. Remember we were talking about that? It's an average of 84.71 a day going to the hospital. Currently, there are 1,500 people in the hospital total in Georgia for COVID.
What was it back then? You do it say?
No, this just is a daily thing. And I mean, there's a way you could go back and see. Let me go back and see. But that's just the latest to see, you know, if you're keeping up with it. I think people should keep up with it. I think people should keep up with the flu too. Well, the flu isn't bad anymore. But every year we hear when it's bad for flu season, you know what happens? They close the schools or they send the kids home. They were doing that for a couple of years prior to the COVID thing. So there's a chart, and this is where you go, dph.georgia.gov. That's the Department of Health. And you can see there. They have charts. They have numbers. And just follow it. Daily statistics. Here we go. And I don't see people getting tested as much anymore, too. So I don't know how good that is.
I think people just going straight to the vaccine. Every time I come down here, I see at the stadium, it's always...
Well, guess what? If you want to get the vaccine at the stadium downtown, you don't even have to make an appointment. You could just go.
I can imagine that. They probably got enough room. I mean, enough people, staff.
Earlier this week, Dr. Kymmy went on the news and asked rural white people to get the vaccine because they're not getting it. Wow. Wow. Overall, this is crazy. These numbers are crazy. 860, so almost 1 million people, less than 1 million people have gotten it. But it's not over, that's all I'm saying. So whatever you've been doing, keep doing it. But the more people that get vaccinated, like now they're seeing young people get COVID more. Because, you know, they started vaccinating the older population first. So now the age group of people that are being hospitalized is getting younger and younger and younger. So the people that are getting the vaccine, they're building a wall. You know what I mean? They're protected, and the people that are outside that wall are going to be the ones that the virus is a living and breathing thing. Like, it wants to survive, so it's constantly looking for a host because it can't live on surfaces too long. It can't live in the air too long, so it's constantly finding a body to keep it together. So the more people that get vaccinated, they're going to build like a thing where it's going to start to become a school-age children thing. Well, then they lowered the age. You see how they keep lowering the ages, and they're trying to do it as fast as they can because they're trying to keep up with how fast it's spreading. So that's all. Also, Vernon Jones announced that he's going to run against Brian Kemp. That's an official announcement. We don't even know if Stacey Abrams is going to run yet. She hasn't made her official announcement. We're assuming that she will. I hope she does, because I think what they're doing now is, and when I say they, I mean the Republicans, is, you know, they're taking their cues from Trump. So the people that follow Trump, they're laying the playing field out in order for him to run again. You know what I'm saying? They want him to run again, but they don't want him to run if he's going to be against these governors in these states, representatives that are going to block him or try to get him not to be elected. So they're already, you know, setting the stage.
I don't think
You don't think that it's gonna work?
I don't think we're gonna allow a reality star to be a president again.
Right.
Because I hear like The Rock, he's talking about running. Of course, Kanye. I don't think Trump, if he do run again, I don't think he will win.
I don't think he will. I
don't even think he would run again, honestly. I probably, because he never wanted to be a president.
Right.
I wouldn't put myself back in that situation, that scrutiny. I barely hear about Trump now. Every once in a while, I see his name pop up, but she living a life now. You was getting talked about every day for 4 years straight. Now you can down there live your life.
Right. I think, but like, for example, in Florida, the governor, the Florida Senate passed a anti-riot bill. It passed the Florida Senate, and so what the anti-riot bill does is it would put an anti-First Amendment thing in place where if you protest, if you encounter a cop, you know how you see the pictures at the protests and the cops are being really aggressive and, you know, people are like, stop, or, you know, any force, any tap, anything that's a felony, you're going to jail. If you're in the street protesting, you see sometimes they block the road. That's how the protests start. You can run those people over. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Any pushback that we see.
But let me ask you this, though. Mm-hmm. So say if somebody do take that action to run a protester over, mm-hmm, you can get charged with other things, though, can't you? Like assault, murder. Like, I guess I don't completely understand that. I mean, I guess you got that right to do that, but I guess I don't completely understand what that means, that, you know, you can run that person over. Or you can, you know, I understand the part where you get, what is it, you say you get arrested for protesting in the street? I understand
if
that.
If you have any encounter with the police.
Yeah, I feel like as a civilian, if you commit a crime, you still gonna get, no matter if, you feel me, one side is saying that you can't do this or you're allowed to run somebody over, but you can still get hit with assault.
The law, it doesn't say what happens to the person. It just says that the law is creating a third-degree felony for those who obstruct traffic during an unpermitted protest. I guess if it's not permitted. So if it's just a random protest. So that's a stipulation that, you know, if you are part of a demonstration or violent or disorderly assembly. So I hope Ron DeSantis knows that that could also mean those sports fans that take to the streets.
Yeah, that's what we would see. They gotta be on both sides.
I hope that he knows that that also applies to the sports fans and whoever else decides to take to the streets for whatever reason. Blocking traffic would potentially become a felony. The law could also make it legal to commit what might otherwise be considered vehicular manslaughter or manslaughter. So if it's in the act of hitting a protester, Jay Black, that answers your question. It wouldn't be considered manslaughter. It would be considered you were doing what you were supposed to do because there was a riot in the middle of the street. The driver is not liable for injury or death caused if fleeing for safety from a mob, the proposal states. Florida loves to make laws that let it legalize killing folks, don't they? The proposal does not include any definition of what constitutes a mob, so that's open to interpretation. You could just always say a mob, just like you could always say you're afraid, and you could always say, you know, any reason you could kill somebody in Florida. This legislation would have legalized the murder of Heather Heyer in Charlottesville. Remember that story? That's crazy. The law would also introduce third-degree felony for those who participate in a violent or disorderly assembly protest while causing property damage or injury to others. Protesters who try to destroy or topple a monument could be charged with second-degree felony. RICO racketeering liability would be added to anyone who organized or funds a violent or disorderly assembly. Striking or throwing an object at a law enforcement officer during a violent or disorderly protest would be subject to a 6-month mandatory minimum jail sentence. In addition, the law would prohibit local government from attempting to defund the police, with any area that slashes the budget of policing being cut off from state funds. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Florida is trash, bro. Not to be outdone by the trash that Florida is, Texas passed legislation that would allow anyone to just open carry a gun whether you have a permit or not. The wild,
I think a lot of
wild
states are
west.
doing it. I think Ohio just changed to that. Georgia, we know Georgia is a state that does that.
That is crazy as hell. We have to, this is why we always have to be on top of the laws that are being legislated, that are being passed, where they're at in that part of legislation, where you can try to intercept it, where you can try to talk to your local leaders. We were talking before about the laws that they are being proposed here in Georgia about voting, in other states, 43 states that are passing this stuff. And we check out our last episode when we talked to Hannah, and we kind of broke down a lot of the stuff that was going on in Georgia and how the people are protesting. Let's not forget Jim Crow laws. We're going to talk about Jim Crow laws and how, you know, what we see going on now, it could kind of like creep in Jim Crow back into the fold. You know that law that was just passed recently in Georgia about being a what do you call it? Citizen's arrest? Remember that? Mm-hmm. Well, that was a Jim Crow relic.
What was
it? It was enacted in 1863. It allowed white citizens to capture slaves fleeing north. And it wasn't until recently that they got rid of that law, which, it was when Ahmaud Arbery got killed. What were you saying, Jay Black?
No, I was gonna say what are the Jim Crow laws? I mean, I'm just looking it up myself though.
Okay, Jim Crow laws were.
No, not as far as like not exact. Well, I mean, I guess you can explain what they.
Okay, Jim Crow laws were state and local laws in the United States enacted between 1876, which is after slavery. Remember, allegedly. I mean, 1865. It wasn't like, and this is the perception I think people have. In 1865, when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed and they were legally not supposed to have slaves. It wasn't like the slave owners just walked out in the field like, okay, guys, thanks. Like, no, it wasn't like that. They were still, we know in Texas, it took them a couple of years for them to find out. That's why they celebrate Juneteenth. They didn't even know. They didn't ride their horse down to Texas and tell them for a while. And that's why we celebrate Juneteenth. So they were enacted in 1876 and all the way to 1965, Jim Crow laws existed through the United States and originated from the Black Codes that were passed from 1865 to 1866 in the form of pre-American Civil War that mandated segregation in all public facilities with supposed separate but equal statues. So segregation after slavery, like, okay, they're free, whatever, we don't want to be bothered with them, we just want them to work for us and then go somewhere else. They were trying to keep that going, basically. In Alabama, one of the examples of a Jim Crow law was it shall be unlawful to conduct a restaurant or other place for the serving of food in the city at which white and colored people are served in the same room unless such white and colored persons are effectively separated by a solid partition extending from the floor upward to a distance of 7 feet or higher. And unless a separate entrance for the street is provided to each compartment. This law was put in place in 1934. Like, that was one example in Alabama. California has so many, like, I don't even want to read it. One of the things in Florida, all courtship between a white person and a Negro person or between a white person and a person of Negro descent to the 4th generation are hereby forever prohibited. If you got any black people in your family for 4 generations, you cannot marry a white person in Florida. That was the Jim Crow law. Any black man and white women or any white man and or Negro women who are not married to each other who shall habitually live in and occupy in the nighttime in the same room shall each be punished by imprisonment not exceeding 12 months or fine not exceeding $500. Are y'all hearing this? White and colored children were prohibited from being taught in the same schools. Separation of races required on all streetcars. Separate waiting rooms for each race to be provided at a railroad depot along with separate ticket windows. So these things were in a law. In Georgia, it shall be unlawful for any amateur white baseball team to play baseball on any vacant lot or baseball diamond within 2 blocks of a playground devoted to Negro race. These things, here's one from Louisiana. Any person who shall rent any part of any such building to a Negro person, to a Negro family, when such building is already in whole or in part occupancy of a white person or a white family or vice versa, when the building is in occupancy of a Negro person or a Negro family shall be guilty of a misdemeanor with a fine of $2,000. These were the laws. So, guess what? Recently, someone from here in Georgia, a controversial legislator, Marjorie Taylor Greene, said that she's proposing an America's First Caucus. Do you know what the America's First Caucus means?
I don't.
The American First Caucus means that they would push Anglo Saxon ways of life. What does that mean?
I know Anglo Saxon got to do with the white race, from my understanding. Let me see.
That's true. So exactly what does this mean? The American First Caucus will be announced very soon, she said. I'm wondering what that is.
Germanic peoples?
Is that what that says?
Peoples who from the 5th century to the time of the Norman Conquest inhabited and ruled territories that are today part of England. So basically like the England people from England.
So the American First Caucus is going to promote Anglo Saxon traditions. So when people say Americans and legal, and that's all dog whistle words for, apparently, what is it? Anglo Saxons. Just be careful. Just be careful. Because there's a lot of black politicians that are pushing for Anglo-Saxon traditions too. Because whoever is lining up with this group of people, the people that her and Trump and all those people, I don't know what's going on.
So basically, I looked up what is Anglo-Saxon culture. It said the Anglo-Saxon culture was centered around three classes of men: the working man, the churchman, and the warrior.
Oh, that makes sense. That's what they think those people were at the Capitol that day. Remember, they had the warrior and they had all that other stuff. That makes sense. Well, good luck, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Like a British following, like, you know, one of that type of.
Good luck with that. Sounds like a bunch of foolishness to me. Twitter was all talking about it, and I was cracking up. Twitter's crazy.
Yeah, cause it's. I mean, the one thing I can say I appreciate about Twitter is that it sparks dialogue, it sparks conversation. Mm-hmm. No matter how wild the conversation is, like, you getting viewpoints from other sides, from both sides, and I think you can take something from all of it.
Right.
But
yeah, it's a lot. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, cause everybody has an opinion on everything.
Right.
And it's just like, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. And you get killed for having your own opinion. I see people get killed for, like, not thinking like the rest of the
yeah,
people.
It's a group think tank.
Yeah, exactly.
Hard right, this is what AP reported when they found out. Hard right House Republicans on Friday were discussing forming an American First Caucus, which the document describes as championing Anglo-Saxon political traditions. A warning that mass immigration was putting the unique identity of the U.S. at risk. So you have to understand that there are people, like we were talking about the Jim Crow laws, but you see how the Jim Crow laws mostly centered around not living near or interacting at all with black people. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's what Anglo-Saxon tradition is to be. But that's not the world we live in, ma'am, sir, conservative. That's just not the world we live in. So because that's not realistic, you create these weird groups of people that all want to believe it is, and they start spreading shit. That's all.
I think that's religion.
Really?
I wouldn't say weird groups, but I mean, that's basically the same concept.
Yeah.
I think the world it's just how the world is. Like, everything is grouped. From even when you was at school at the lunch table and people you hung with at school.
Your vibe is your tribe.
To your political beliefs. Like, everything is, it seemed like, I can only just speak for America, but it just seems like we have to categorize everything. Everything has to be in a category. Everything has to be boxed in to where, you know, you're a part of this group. If I wear black all the time and I got black, I'm a goth person.
Yeah.
So I think we just got to get out of that thinking. We got to change our thinking on things. You know, we've been taught to think certain ways and
right,
believe certain things or certain ways for so long that, you know, it just became normal. Even what we going through now, like with the virus and shit, like we were so used to running around without a mask and just kind of moving like we want to, that it's taking a. You know, people are fighting against doing the right thing about it. Like, it's just what people are used to. And that's why, you know, it's only been a year.
Yeah.
And it seems like a long time, but it's really not.
I think it's been a long time.
It is, but you got to compare a year to somebody that's been doing something for 29 years, 30 years, 40 years, 45, 50 years. I haven't had to wear a mask for 50 years of my life. And now, all of a sudden, everything I've done my whole life, you want me to just conform to this. Of course, I'm gonna have some pushback because it's making me uncomfortable. And I think that's really what it is. I don't think it's people that's against. They just, they getting put out of their comfort zone.
They're getting used to it. The American First Caucus exists to promote congressional policies that are the long-term benefit of the American nation. This is what it says. The group aims to follow in President Trump's footsteps and potentially step on some toes and sacrifice sacred cows for the good of the American nation. So if anybody had any hesitation or any reservation about thinking that Trump was a white supremacist, this might go ahead and confirm for you if you had any. So, and then because they only do this in places like Georgia and where there's a heavy black population. So now you have the black guy, right? Vernon Jones, who, they find the black person in the black area to talk to those black people to get them to fall for this. And so I just hope y'all peep game by now is what I'm saying. Peep game. Because those Jim Crow laws, before we know it, they could creep back. We can't let these people just pay attention. Pay attention. Did we talk about another mass shooting? Because there was one.
Yeah, it's been a couple. I think it's been more than one.
Did we talk about the one at FedEx yet?
Nah, it was the one at FedEx, and there was another one, wasn't it?
Brandon Scott Hole was 19 years old. He committed suicide after he killed 8 people at FedEx in Indianapolis, Indiana. His mom had called the cops before because he threatened to kill himself, and they took his gun, and he was somehow able to get another one.
I think I read, and I don't know how true it is, so don't quote me, but I think when I was reading a little bit on the article, it was saying that I don't know if it was a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, he had already got caught with a gun at the job.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was confused, like, why didn't he get fired then? Why was he still working the job? But I guess, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I got to read it. I got to, don't quote me. I would do your own research, but I think I do remember reading that.
Right. I don't think there was another mass shooting. There was another police shooting since we last spoke. Also, they're starting to talk about reparations again, y'all. So do your research. They might call you up and be like, what plantation, where were your parents working, or where were your parents being enslaved at? Because we owe you some money. Do your research, folks. I hope they get something done with that. I really, 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 really do.
Do you feel like, it was just funny because it was just how you just did it. Do you feel like you desensitized to police shooters now?
Oh, my segue? Yeah. I think so. Because I'm tired, and I've been to that zone where I've been to the city council meeting, to the citizens meeting, to the police meeting, to the protest, to the, we need some substantial change from the federal level. And Joe Biden is talking about doing that. So I just hope him and Kamala Harris can do something about it, because it's I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know what to say anymore.
I think the thing is, I think what they need to realize, what we want, we understand that it's happening, but we just want them to be penalized like another black person would,
The last cop, the female Kimberly Potter, she was arrested for second-degree murder.
I told you my theory on that, though. I feel like she's getting a lot of heat right now, rightfully so.
We didn't even say the victim's name, and we said her name, so we need to say Dante Wright. Say his name.
Well, we know how that goes.
Dante Wright was killed by Kim Potter unnecessarily. This young man, young father, young son was killed by this. I don't know what was that? What were you going to say? Because we talked about it, but I was just so. It doesn't make it.
It don't make a difference. I get what you're saying, but it just, again, back to a whole different narrative. I feel like, again, everybody's coming out police is coming out making videos saying this is unacceptable.
Yeah, now, right, yeah.
And it
right,
seems like they're attacking this woman, even though, like I say, it's not acceptable what she did, but it's like they're moving, I guess they're moving more swiftly when it came to a woman doing this.
Oh, okay.
And that was I guess my thing
and
was.
And the same what you were saying, like with Botham Jean.
Yeah, everything was done swiftly, but now when it comes to me and cops, it's like, nah, maybe he didn't. Let's wait, you know.
And even with the female, when the female is a black woman, you see a different.
Yeah.
Like it takes so long.
So I could see that narrative being a thing. Like I say, none of it is acceptable. But again, this too can show that, you know, if you're able to move this fast for a woman cop, then y'all know what's going on when all these other shootings are going on. Y'all just picking and choosing. And again, I guess it's just making things more clear to us, which they really don't need to do, but.
I don't know, but that was dead ass wrong. I've never seen. I mean, I'm not gonna say that because of course I have. I think that was just. I mean, I don't even want to give it no more energy than it already has because that's how dumb it is what she did.
I didn't watch the video. I can't watch stuff like that.
I don't blame you. Don't watch it. It's dumb. It's ignorant. It's totally disrespectful. It's like you're playing a game with us now. You know what I mean? That's that on that for me. I hope that family gets justice. It's just too much.
And it happened.
It happened 10 minutes away from where George Floyd was killed.
While this trial is going on.
This trial is closing up next week. Closing arguments start next week. And what I need people to understand is that they've closed schools already. They're going to online classes in Minneapolis next week in anticipation of rioting. I don't see how you defend this guy, but it's up to the jury, and it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. So if they cast some doubt in the mind of the jury that there was some kind of way that George Floyd died with, other than from that knee on that neck, we'll see. They didn't convince me as a viewer, so we'll see.
Yeah, because they trying to say all the other stuff killed him.
Yep.
They saying that played a role, right?
Yep.
So why don't the knee play a role? If all these other things played a role that we can't see, that we don't know, that the autopsy did not say, why is this knee not playing a role? Why is that the exempt part? Because obviously, you know, if you want to say he was a drug addict, obviously he was on these drugs and he was able to make it to the next day on these drugs. Make it to the store, you know, on these drugs. So you can't just say that that's the reason he died. You know, it was something added to that.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty obvious to me. But, you know, stranger things have happened. Cops have gotten off before for some weirdo, stupid stuff, some little loophole or something. Next week, the bill for D.C. statehood is going to the House floor. Good luck, D.C. We'd love to have you become a state. Merck ended the development of a COVID drug. Besides vaccines, there's still companies out there developing treatments, people. So all you anti-vax people, keep an eye on that because that might be an option, you know, if God forbid that happens. Pfizer said that there might be a need for a third shot, a booster, and it might become a thing where you have to get it every year, but that also, all this depends on our behavior.
Would you be open to getting it every year? Are you a flu shot person?
No, I don't do any of that. But the thing is, the flu is different. So if I will be open to doing that, it depends on how this virus behaves. It depends on what the virus does. If the virus becomes weak and it does resemble the flu, and it's something that people can fight off, and they have flu medicine, like they have over-the-counter stuff, and they have stuff for that, and it's like your likelihood of being hospitalized is low, I could deal with that. But that's not what I'm saying happening with this virus. I see this virus becoming more contagious. I don't see it becoming less, it's not making people less sick. Like, it's not, some people it's just a runny nose, some people it's still pneumonia. You know what I mean? Like, once I see, it depends on how this virus goes. You know, it's still a very scary thing, and the variants are still popping up. Brazil is still like it was here back when when it was bad here. It's still like that in some countries, and we still got traveling. So it's like we don't have anything to prevent it. Don't get me started, because you know me and that damn virus. I don't want nothing to do with it. Whatever I need to do. I've seen my friends' parents die, and I've seen my friends get it, and I've seen, like, it's just too much. It was a lot last year. I don't want it to get like that, so whatever has to happen. Where was I? I think that was it. Because I completely lost my train of thought right now. Oh, we were talking about booster shots. We might have to get booster shots. Yeah, so keep up with that. Follow us. Make sure you follow us on I have a Facebook page for us too, and I feel like you can post the whole article there because you really can't do that on Instagram. So I think people, when I post something, go do your research and come back, because sometimes I can only put a limited amount of information. I really put the source so you can go read the whole thing. And I see people say, "Oh, I need to go read this," and then they come back. So that's what my goal is on there. Yeah, I think that's it. Until next week, we are going to continue to update the Instagram page. Make sure you check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to Innovative Black Station. How's the YouTube channel going? Did anybody get mad at us lately?
Nah, I mean, it don't be a lot of people getting mad. We have had people chime in. Let me see, I'm gonna go to it now. We've had people recently, a lot of people, they chime into some of the older videos.
Yeah, we like when you guys look at the older videos, because sometimes stuff happens and we already talked about.
Let me see. This is on this was yesterday. Somebody commented on the Kendrick Johnson case video we put up.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It said, how long does it take for law enforcement to verify whether the confession is real or not and give some kind of statement? Seems like something fishy is going on.
Yeah.
5 days ago, somebody commented on the same video. I grew up in Lowndes, but graduated down in Florida. Saudi is like that. Cover up scandals, etc. Such a toxic city. 3 weeks ago, Tony Snow, he commented, very glad this case is being looked into because it's definitely foul play. And by Johnson being a star athlete in a majority white town or school, it was a lot of racism and jealousy going into me. Some of those Caucasian kids that are racist are probably involved in some kind of evil hate group or cult. Basically, the young man was body snatched because his organs were gone. Very sad. Condolences to the families.
Yeah.
Let me see what else we got. Make sure y'all go check out the Hannah interview. That was a great interview.
Very informative.
Somebody commented on the Derek Chauvin video we put up. Do y'all think the jury would conclude beyond a reason of doubt that Chauvin was the cause of Floyd's death?
Right. That's what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
We don't know. I mean, do you know who the jury is?
I heard the numbers. I think you came on here and said like the breakdown of who they were, like as far as like race and age and all that type of stuff.
Let me see if I can find that again. I mean, that kind of, it just depends. I've seen people say they're not paying attention. They got upset. One person was visibly shaken. Remember that?
Yeah, but I mean, these are regular people.
Right.
These are regular people. Because I was even thinking, like, what if I was to get picked for jury duty and it just so happened to be a big case like this? Because it's, I think the jury is random from my understanding, right? So these people are, 12 random people that didn't choose to do this. They didn't go to school. They don't have any, any background in this per se.
Many of the jurors took notes. They said most of them, I think we broke down what they were. I can't find it right now.
Yeah, I remember we did.
Let's see if I can find it.
Somebody else commented on the reparations, $25,000 in home repairs. So a kitchen remodel, WTF.
Oh yeah.
Let me see.
The jury is a demographic mix: 3 black men, 1 black woman, 2 women who identified themselves as multiracial, There are 2 white men and 4 white women. That's the trial. That's the jury. So based on that, what do you think?
I'm sorry, what
2 white men and 4 white women.
2 white men, 4 white women, and what else?
2 women identify themselves as multiracial. 3 black men and 1 black woman.
I think that's pretty balanced.
Half of the jury is non-white.
So you got 4 black, 4 white, 4 multi-race.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty balanced. I think that represents America. The people of America.
3 black men, 1 black woman, 2 women who identify themselves as multiracial, 2 white men and 4 white women. Well,
oh, so it's more white women, white people.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I want to go to DMX's memorial, y'all.
When is it? Tomorrow?
It's next weekend at Barclays in Brooklyn. I've not seen where you get tickets or anything. I pray that the Holy Spirit comforts Black Rob's family. He has a daughter and a son, and everybody that he interacted with. That album got me through some tough times, just like DMX's album. Those late 90s was a rough time for me. It was a rough time for me. And I remember listening to that album. I listened to Whoa all the way from Atlanta to Jersey because I didn't want to fall asleep. That song just hypes me up every single time. I love that song. So again, men, I say black men because I'm a black woman and my brother and my dad and my, but of course everyone. But I specifically say black men, get checked up. Get checked up, man. Get checked up. And that's all I have this week. Make sure you check us out. We're J Black. One of these cameras is really close to my face. And when I looked at the last interview, I was like, oh my gosh, like you can see my hair wasn't all the way. I need to back up some of these. So y'all listen to the interview sometimes. Tell everybody where they can check us out at J Black.
www.innovativeblackstation.com. Just keep it simple. You can get to everything from the website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can just get
and
to
make sure
everything.
you check out these candles. Look, when y'all come back next week, there might not be 4. It might not be, right? Because I might take one of these back home with me. All right, y'all. Make sure you check us out, innovativeblackstation.com. Follow us on Instagram at CTD_ATL. And we will see you next week. Bye.